All right, let's get ready to dive into some running gear today.
Sounds good.
Yeah, we're going to be taking a deep dive into iRun.fr, a French retailer,
Very cool.
and specifically one of their shoes, the Asics Superblast 2.
Oh, yeah. I've heard good things about this shoe.
Yeah, and we've got a lot of sources to work with here.
Yeah, it looks like we've got like product descriptions,
Oh, yeah.
customer reviews,
Hmm.
market analysis. There's even a quiz in here.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, so it seems like we're going to get a pretty good sense of not only this particular shoe, but like the bigger picture of the whole running shoe market.
That's what I'm hoping for. But let's, zoom in on this iRun.fr first. It's not just a shop, is it? I mean, it's like a whole...
No, it's like a whole experience.
Yeah.
Like you go on their website and they've got, shoes, obviously, but they've got apparel, electronics, accessories, nutrition, you name it.
Yeah, it's like a one-stop shop for runners, right?
It is. It is.
I also notice it's not just Asics they've got.
No, they've got a bunch of brands. So Adidas in there, Nike, Salomon, a whole bunch more.
I think that's smart, right? Like cast a wide net.
Yeah, I think so too.
Get all kinds of runners in there.
Definitely, yeah. You know what's interesting though is even though they're like this global online retailer,
Yeah.
they've got a really strong like French identity.
Yeah. What makes you say that?
Well, for one thing, all their brick and mortar stores, all their physical stores are in France.
Oh, interesting.
And they've got these partnerships with like the French Athletics Federation.
Yeah, I did see that.
So it's like they're keeping those roots even as they're reaching out to this global audience.
Yeah, and they're really reaching out. I mean, they're pushing these like sales and promotions all the time.
It's true, yeah. I mean, you go on their website and there's always some kind of deal, discount, cashback, free delivery.
Yeah, or it's like, how can you resist, right?
Exactly.
So they've definitely got my attention. But, okay, so we got a sense of iRun, the retailer.
Right.
Let's get into the shoe now. The Asics Superblast 2. This shoe is not for like, casual walkers. It's for...
No, it's definitely geared towards a more serious runner.
Yeah.
Someone who's already got some miles under their belt.
Right.
Comfortable with distances from 5K all the way up to a marathon,
Wow. Okay, so like a pretty wide range.
Yeah, and it's designed for both training and competitions. So it's supposed to be really comfortable and responsive.
So comfortable enough for long runs, but also responsive enough if you want to
Exactly.
pick up the pace.
It's meant to be a pretty versatile shoe.
Yeah, so what is it about this shoe that makes it so special? Let's
Well, for starters, let's talk about the midsole.
Okay.
It's got this dual density midsole, which means it combines two different types of foam. They're Asics' own foams. One's called Flight Foam Blast Plus Eco.
Okay.
And the other one is Flight Foam Turbo Plus.
Two different foams. All right, what's the difference?
So the Flight Foam Blast Plus Eco, that's like the lighter foam, gives you that kind of like bouncy, energetic feel.
Okay, so that's like the...
And it's also more sustainable, which is a big plus these days.
Yeah, for sure. What do they mean by sustainable? Like, what's it made out of?
Well, it's made with at least 20% recycled content. So that's a pretty significant step in terms of reducing environmental impact.
Oh, wow. 20%? That's pretty good.
Not bad, not bad.
Okay, so what about the other foam, the turbo one?
Right, the Flight Foam Turbo Plus Bolt, that's where you get like the extra oomph.
Okay.
It's designed for like softer landings and greater reduction in energy loss.
So you're not wasting as much energy when you're
Exactly.
hit it in the ground.
It's all about maximizing efficiency and performance, so it's kind of like your secret weapon for those tough runs.
So you got one foam for like the eco-conscious runner, the other one for like the runner who really wants to...
Yeah, wants to feel that push off.
propel themselves forward.
Exactly, yeah.
Smart. So what about the rest of the shoe, like the outsole?
Right, so the outsole has also been updated. It's got this Asics grip technology, which gives you better traction. And they've redesigned the pattern to minimize, those little pebbles and things getting stuck in the sole.
Oh, yeah, I hate that.
It's the worst.
It's the worst.
And then the upper part of the shoe, they've made that with a woven material.
Oh.
So it's more breathable and comfortable, especially important on those long runs.
Yeah, comfort's key, right?
Oh.
Especially if you're going for
Oh, absolutely.
a while.
Yeah.
So what are the specs on this shoe? Like, what's the drop, weight, all that stuff?
All right, so we're looking at an 8mm drop,
Okay.
which is pretty standard, offers a good balance between cushioning and responsiveness. Weighs in at 246 grams for a size 42.
Okay.
And it's designed for runners who weigh under 85 kilos.
Interesting.
So, they're definitely targeting a certain type of runner with this shoe.
Yeah, it's somewhat a bit lighter, right? I mean, I'm guessing with an 8mm drop, you're also going to be feeling the ground a bit more?
Exactly. Yeah, it's for someone who wants a little more ground feel.
Okay.
And I got to say, the reviews for this shoe are stellar. I mean, we're talking an average rating of 4.9 out of 5 stars.
Wow, that's
That's pretty impressive.
really good.
And people are raving about its versatility and comfort. They're saying it's great for training, it's great for racing.
So you're telling me this shoe can do it all?
Pretty much, yeah. But all this performance comes at a price.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, how much does this thing cost?
220 euros,
Oh, wow.
which is a decent chunk of change.
Yeah, that's a pretty penny.
But, iRun.fr, they do offer payment plans
Oh,
to
okay.
make it a little more manageable.
Mhm.
And they often have those cash back offers, too.
Oh, so that can help sweeten the deal a little.
Exactly, yeah.
But I'm glad we went into all these details about this one shoe because
Yeah.
it really does feel like it reflects like the bigger trends we're seeing in the running market.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And that's something I definitely want to get into. But before we do, I'm just curious what like stood out to you about the shoe, like just from reading all this information.
I think what really struck me is the combination of those two foams in the midsole.
Yeah.
They're really trying to find that sweet spot between cushioning and responsiveness, but also making it sustainable,
Yeah, for sure.
which I think is really cool. Like they're trying to appeal to, the runner who wants it all.
Yeah.
And I think that says a lot about where the running market is headed.
Okay, so let's talk about that then. Like, what is going on with the running shoe market these days? What are we seeing?
Well, first off, it's booming.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, running has become incredibly popular,
Yeah, I feel like everyone's out there running these days.
That's true, yeah. And with more people running, there's obviously more demand for running shoes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Supply and demand, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that demand is driving some pretty incredible innovation.
So what do you mean by that? Like, what kind of innovation are we seeing?
Well, for one thing, the materials are constantly evolving. Everyone's trying to make shoes that are lighter,
Okay.
more responsive, more comfortable.
Right.
And it's not just the materials, it's the technology too.
Yeah, like what?
Well, you see things like 3D printed midsoles, carbon fiber plates, all sorts of fancy stuff.
So it's like an arms race almost.
It kind of is, yeah.
Everyone's trying to
Trying to one-up each other.
make the best, lightest, most responsive shoe.
Exactly.
And you know what else is interesting? It's not just about performance anymore. Like you said before with the sustainable foams.
Right.
Like sustainability is becoming a big deal.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Consumers are much more eco-conscious these days, and brands are definitely responding to that.
Mm.
They're using recycled materials, exploring bio-based alternatives, trying to minimize their environmental impact in every way they can.
So it's not just lip service anymore. It seems like it's a real.
No, I think it's becoming a core value for a lot of these brands.
Okay.
And it's not just about being eco-friendly. We're also seeing this trend towards customization and personalization.
What do you mean by that?
Well, brands are realizing that one size doesn't fit all when it comes to running shoes.
Right, yeah.
So they're developing technologies that allow runners to fine-tune their shoes to their individual needs.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just about choosing the right shoe anymore. It's about making the shoe right for you.
Exactly.
And then there's all the data and analytics, right? Like all the wearables and
Oh,
apps
that's a huge trend.
that are tracking every move.
Exactly. I mean, runners now have access to so much data about their performance.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They can track their pace, distance,
Mhm.
heart rate, foot strike patterns, all that stuff.
So it's not just about feel anymore. It's about,
Yeah, it's about data-driven insights.
and what's all that data doing? Like, how's it impacting the market?
Well, it's being used to inform everything from shoe design to training plans,
Okay.
It's helping runners train smarter, prevent injuries, and just generally improve their performance.
So technology is really transforming the way we run.
Absolutely.
And it's not just the technology, it's the running community itself.
Right, that's changing too.
It's becoming more diverse, right?
Oh yeah, much more diverse. We're seeing runners of all ages, backgrounds, abilities.
And it's not just about fitness or competition anymore.
No, it's about so much more than that.
Yeah, like what?
Well, people are running for mental health, for social connection, for adventure.
Even like a whole lifestyle.
It is, yeah. It's become a way of life for a lot of people.
And that's reflected in the products, services, experiences that are being offered.
Absolutely.
So it's like this whole ecosystem now.
Yeah.
And it's constantly evolving.
It is, yeah. And it's an exciting time to be a runner, that's for sure.
Okay, so we've talked about all these big trends, but I want to bring it back to our listener now, the person who's maybe thinking, okay, this is all fascinating, but what does it actually mean for me?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, how can I use this knowledge to choose the right running shoe?
Right, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is, and I think that's what we need to get into next. But before we do, is there anything else about these trends that really jumped out at you? Anything that surprised you?
I think what really struck me is just how much emphasis there is on sustainability these days.
Yeah.
It's really encouraging to see companies taking this seriously.
Yeah, it's not just greenwashing anymore. It seems like a genuine...
It seems like a real shift in the industry.
Okay.
And I also think the whole data and analytics thing is fascinating. It's really changing the way we understand and approach running.
Yeah, it's like the data is telling us how to run better, how to choose the right shoes.
It's pretty amazing.
It is. But okay, let's take a short break. And when we come back, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of how to actually choose the right running shoe for you.
That was good.
Okay, so we've covered all those big trends in the running market.
Yeah.
But now I want to bring it down to earth,
Right, make it practical.
Yeah, exactly. How can our listener, someone out there listening right now, how can they actually use this knowledge to choose the right shoe for them?
Well, I think it all starts with self-awareness.
Okay.
Like, before you even start browsing shoes online or going to a store, take some time to think about yourself as a runner.
So, what kind of questions should they be asking?
Well, first off, what kind of running do you do?
Yeah, because, are you a trail runner, are you road running, or are you doing a bit of both?
Right, exactly. And then think about, the distances you run. Are you comfortable with a 5K? Are you a marathoner? That sort of thing.
Yeah, because a shoe that's good for a marathon might not be the best for, short sprints.
Exactly, yeah. And then there's your foot type.
Okay.
Do you have high arches, flat feet?
And this is where, the pronation and stability stuff comes in, right?
Right, exactly. So pronation, that's just the inward roll of your foot when you run.
Okay.
And some people overpronate, meaning their foot rolls inward too much.
Yeah, and that can lead to injuries, I've heard.
It can, yeah. So that's where stability shoes come in.
Okay.
They're designed to kind of counteract that overpronation and give you some extra support.
So if you have a normal neutral gait, you don't need that extra.
Right. Then you're probably better off with a neutral cushion shoe.
Okay, so we got running style, we got foot type, and then what else?
I'd say your goals too.
Okay.
What are you trying to achieve with your running? Are you training for a specific race?
Yeah. Are you trying to get faster? Are you just running to stay healthy?
Right, because a shoe that's good for speed work might not be the most comfortable for a long, slow run.
Right. It's all about matching the shoe to what you're actually doing with it.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to experiment a little too.
Yeah.
What works for one person might not work for another.
Yeah, that's true.
Even if they have similar foot types or whatever, it's really about finding what feels best for you.
Like the Goldilocks shoe.
Exactly.
Not too much, not too little, just right.
And once you have a sense of what you need, then you can start looking at all the different shoes out there.
Because it can be overwhelming, right?
It can be. I mean, there are so many brands, so many models. It's where do you even start?
Yeah, I know. It's like a whole world.
It is, yeah. But that's where resources like irun.fr can be helpful.
Okay.
They have a really good website, a lot of information about the shoes, customer reviews, all that stuff.
And they have that quiz, right?
They do, yeah.
That can help you narrow down what kind of shoe you might need.
Exactly. But, I'd say don't just rely on the internet either.
Okay.
If you can, try to visit a running store.
Oh, yeah, like a specialty running store.
Yeah, where they can actually fit you for shoes.
Because sometimes, reading about it online, it's just not the same as...
No, it's not the same as actually putting the shoe on your foot.
And seeing how it feels.
Right. And the people who work at running stores, they're usually pretty knowledgeable.
They are, yeah, they know their stuff.
They can give you good advice, help you find the right shoe for you.
Yeah, so ask questions, don't be shy.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to try on a bunch of different shoes.
You don't have to buy the first pair you see.
No, take your time, find the one that feels right.
Yeah.
So, to kind of recap here.
Yeah.
Consider your running style, your foot type, your goals.
Mm-hmm.
Do your research online. Check out irun.fr. And then if you can, visit a running store.
Get fitted by an expert.
Exactly. And, at the end of the day, a good pair of running shoes is an investment in your health.
It is, yeah.
So it's worth taking the time to find the right ones.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's say our listener has done all that.
Right.
They've done their research, they've tried on a bunch of shoes,
Mm-hmm.
and they're ready to buy.
Okay.
What are the key things they should be looking at when they're comparing different models?
Well, I think we've touched on some of the big ones already.
Like cushioning, stability, drop. Let's break those down a little more, though.
Okay, yeah.
So cushioning, what's the deal with cushioning? Why is it important?
Well, cushioning is basically what absorbs the shock when your foot hits the ground.
Okay.
It protects your joints from impact, which is super important.
So the more cushioning, the better.
Well, not necessarily. It depends on a few things, like how much do you weigh,
Okay.
what kind of surfaces are you running on, and what's your running style like.
Yeah, so someone who's heavier and running on pavement is probably going to need more cushioning than...
Right, than someone who's lighter and running on trails.
And what about the different materials they use for cushioning? You mentioned like EVA foam, PU foam.
Right, so there are a bunch of different materials out there, each with their own pros and cons.
Okay.
EVA foam, that's like the classic. It's lightweight and affordable,
Okay.
but it can break down over time. PU foam is more durable, but it's also heavier.
So it's like a trade-off.
Yeah, pretty much. And then you have newer materials like that flight foam we talked about earlier,
Right.
which tries to kind of combine the best of both worlds.
Okay, so that's cushioning.
Yeah.
Now, what about stability? How do I know if I need a stability shoe?
Well, one way is to look at your old running shoes.
Okay.
See how they're worn down.
So if the inside of the shoe is more worn down than the outside.
That's a sign you might be overpronating.
Okay.
Another way is to go to a running store and get a gait analysis.
What is that?
They basically just watch you run,
Oh.
and they can tell from your form if you need more stability or not.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then there's the drop, which we talked about a bit earlier.
Yeah, the Superblast 2 has an 8mm drop, but like, what does that actually mean?
So the drop is just the difference in height between the heel and the toe of the shoe.
Okay.
A higher drop, like 10 or 12 millimeters, that promotes a heel strike,
Okay.
which can be more comfortable for some runners.
Especially beginners, I'm guessing?
Right, yeah. Lower drops, like 4 or 6 millimeters, those encourage more of a midfoot or forefoot strike.
And that's considered more...
More efficient, more natural.
Okay, so it's not necessarily like one is better than the other. It's just
No, it's just different.
different strokes for different folks.
Exactly. And it's important to transition gradually if you're going to switch to a shoe with a different drop.
Oh, so your body needs time to adjust.
Yeah, your muscles and tendons need to get used to it.
Okay, so we got cushioning, stability, drop. What else should we be thinking about?
Well, fit is obviously important. Make sure the shoe fits snugly, but not too tight.
Okay.
You want enough room in the toe box for your toes to wiggle.
Yeah, I hate when my toes are all cramped up.
Nobody likes that.
And then there's like the heel counter.
Yeah, the heel counter should hold your heel in place so it doesn't slip around.
And what about breathability? Is that important?
Oh, yeah. Breathability is key,
Yeah.
especially if you tend to sweat a lot.
So you want a shoe that lets your feet breathe.
Exactly.
And then how long do these shoes even last? Like how many miles can I get out of a pair of running shoes before I have to?
It really depends. Your weight, your running style, the surfaces you run on, all that stuff.
Right, so it's not an exact science.
No.
Oh.
But a good rule of thumb is to replace them every 300 to 500 miles.
Okay.
Or sooner if you start seeing signs of wear and tear.
So it's like an ongoing expense.
It is, yeah. Something to keep in mind.
And I've also heard that it's good to rotate between multiple pairs of shoes.
Yeah, that can help prolong their lifespan.
Okay, so to kind of recap here.
Yeah.
We've got cushioning, stability, drop, fit, breathability, durability, all these things to think about, but also like your own preferences, your budget.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no perfect shoe. It's all about finding the one that works best for you.
All right, so let's switch gears a little bit and talk about the actual shopping experience. We've already talked about iRun.fr, but what are some other tips for, navigating the world of online and in-store shoe shopping?
Well, I'd say one of the biggest things is don't get caught up in the hype.
Like all the marketing and stuff.
Yeah. Exactly. Just because a shoe is popular or endorsed by some famous athlete doesn't mean it's the right shoe for you.
Yeah, it's easy to get swept up in all that.
It is, yeah. So
Yeah.
do your own research, read independent reviews, and don't be afraid to go against the grain.
Like if everyone's raving about a certain shoe, but it doesn't feel right to you,
Trust your gut.
trust your gut.
And if you're shopping online, make sure you check the return policy.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
You want to be able to send the shoes back if they don't fit or if you don't like them.
And pay attention to like shipping costs and delivery times.
Yes, especially if you need the shoes for a race or something.
And if you're going to a physical store, like use the staff to your advantage.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Ask them questions, try on a bunch of shoes, and don't feel pressured to buy anything.
Right. You're in control.
If you're not feeling it, just walk away.
Exactly.
So to recap, when you're out there shopping, be wary of the hype, do your research, check the return policies,
Right.
look at shipping costs, use the store staff to your advantage.
And don't buy anything until you're ready.
Exactly.
It's all about finding the right shoe for you, and sometimes that takes a little time.
Yeah, it's a journey.
It is.
So we've talked about how to choose the right shoe, how to shop for shoes.
Yeah.
But I want to kind of zoom back out again to the bigger picture.
Right.
You know, we were talking earlier about how running is becoming more than just a sport.
Right.
It's becoming like a lifestyle.
It is, yeah.
What do you think that means for the future of running?
We're back, and yeah, I've been thinking about that question too, about what running means to the listener.
It's really interesting when you think about it, right? I mean, it's such a basic thing, just moving your legs.
Yeah?
But it can mean so many different things to different people.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the big takeaways from this whole deep dive.
What do you mean?
Well, like, it's not just about, the tech specs of a shoe.
Right.
Or the latest marketing trends or whatever.
It's about the individual. Yeah, it's about the person who's actually out there running, their own personal journey, their motivations.
Yeah, and their connection to that bigger running community.
Which, like we were saying, is becoming so much more diverse and inclusive.
Definitely.
It's really cool to see.
It is.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's try to distill the key insights we've uncovered.
Okay.
You know those nuggets of wisdom that our listener can take with them?
Nuggets of wisdom, I like that.
Yeah. So what would you say those are?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's about finding what works for you.
Yeah.
There's no one right way to run, no one right shoe for everyone.
Yeah, it's all about experimentation, right?
Exactly. Try different things, listen to your body, see what feels good.
And be informed.
Yes, absolutely. But
Yeah.
like we talked about, understand your foot type, your running style, your goals. Use that knowledge to make smart decisions about your gear.
And don't just blindly follow the hype.
No, be a savvy consumer.
Yeah, do your research.
Compare products, find the best value for your needs.
And remember, it's not just about, the physical stuff.
Right.
It's about the mental and emotional benefits, too.
Oh, absolutely. Running can be such a great way to relieve stress, to clear your head, to connect with other people.
It's like a form of therapy, almost.
It can be, yeah.
And as running becomes more of a lifestyle thing, it's about finding your place in that community.
Yeah, whether that's joining a running group or supporting a cause you care about or just enjoying those solo runs.
I like that.
Yeah.
So for our listener who's maybe just starting out, what would be your biggest piece of advice?
I would say start slow.
Okay.
Don't try to do too much too soon.
Yeah.
Listen to your body and don't be afraid to ask for help.
There's no shame in that.
No, not at all. There are so many resources out there, experienced runners, coaches, online communities.
You don't have to figure it all out on your own.
Exactly.
And for the runners who are already out there crushing it, what would you say to them?
Keep challenging yourselves, but also remember to enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's not always about the finish line.
It's about the journey.
Exactly. The journey, the friendships, the personal growth.
Beautifully said.
Thank you.
Well, on that note, I think it's time for us to lace up our own shoes.
And hit the pavement.
Yeah, I'm feeling inspired to get out there.
Me too.
So, to our listener, wherever you are in your running journey, we hope this deep dive has been helpful and inspiring.
We hope you learned something.
Yeah, and remember, it's not about being the fastest or the strongest.
It's about finding that joy in the movement.
Connecting with yourself, connecting with others.
And embracing that transformative power of running.
Keep exploring, keep pushing yourself.
And most importantly, keep running.
And with that, we'll say goodbye.
See you next time.
Until next time, happy running.